Well, there's the old adage, you're either winning or learning. And tonight, Utah State doing a little bit of both. They won, but boy, is there a lot to learn from as the Aggies gave up a huge run. VCU coming from 18 points down, and they were able to tie the game at 76 apiece. But that's where it ended, as Utah State gets a late layup by Gary Clark, who ends up with a double-double tonight. And the Aggies get the win, 78-76, finish the game with a big defensive stand. VCU does not get a shot off. They turn the ball over, and the Aggies go the other way. What a game tonight. 19 turnovers for VCU, 18 for Utah State. And it's that kind of night. Neither team played particularly well. Neither team was one of those nights where things seem like they're firing on all cylinders, but Utah State able to make the plays down the stretch they needed to get the win. Jerrod Calhoun's going to join us coming up here in just a moment on our post-game show, brought to you by Farm Bureau agent Brandon Jensen. Contact him right now, 435-752-4800. It's your future. Time to protect it. Well, the Aggies start 2-0 to start the season. Sadly, making the long climb up the stairs is Jerrod Calhoun. And, Coach, there's a lot to talk about in this one.
Yeah,
First off, you never look down on a win. That's a big one against a really good team.
Yeah, I mean, it's early in the year. I mean, that was our biggest fear, playing a really great team in Game 2. You just haven't been through it. And for our guys to persevere through their run was really, really important.
What was the message there in those timeouts late when they're able to come back and tie it?
Well, there was a lot. I mean, it depends what possession, Scotty.
Yeah.
I mean, the biggest thing was value the ball. I mean, their pressure was real. Had Drake on his heels all night. Obviously, EP had a couple crucial turnovers. Just got to learn from it.
Perriman, the early shot when you're, trying to withstand that run, and he takes an early shot on the drive, and they're able to hit a three on the other end. There's some learning experiences there.
Yeah, has no idea. Never been in a game of this magnitude, right? So you got a lot to talk with him about, but it happens so fast. And, I always give credit to the opponent. I thought VCU was just relentless. They pressure you on every catch, not just possession. So, people at home probably thought, wow, that's, you can't really see the pressure until you're up close. And they really, really pressure you. So they'll win a bunch of games, and hopefully this will be a quad one.
Well, I think that this level of competition and holding on to win, but also the lessons you can learn from a game like this can carry over throughout a season.
You'd rather learn from a win than a loss, right, Scotty?
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot to digest here. The game was called totally different in the second half than it was the first half, right? So we got to go back and look at why we fouled so much, because our best players sat a lot, and certain guys wouldn't be there in certain situations. But I don't know how many rebounds Gary Clark had, but it seemed like he had every big rebound. I thought Zach Keller for, just getting back off an injury. Those two guys are going to be beasts. I've been saying it. They're big, they're strong, and they're going to really add a lot of value to our team. And then certainly MJ Collins, I've been saying it is an all-Mount West type guy.
11 and 14 for Clark tonight. His second double-double to start the season, and none bigger than that offensive rebound and the putback for the win.
Yeah, I mean, he's just a warrior. I've been saying it since we got Gary. He's a wonderful person. He wants to win. He doesn't do things he can't do. He's still learning the game, and him and Zach they're going to be two of the better front court guys in KT. I've said all along I love our front court.
Got to ask you, because there's a lot of people on Twitter wanting to know. A little bit of conversation between the coaching staffs there at one point.
Yeah, I don't want to get into all of it, but, he mentioned one of our guys, said something to their bench, and then one of them kind of put their hand on one of our guys. So I didn't like it. I don't think he liked it. It was a heated game. You coach your team, I'll coach mine, and, I think it was cleaned up after that. Just, emotions are high in sports, Scotty. You got to try to keep your cool. And I thought our guys did. We could have caved. That was a heck of a run by them.
This did not feel like a early November game. This
felt like I think hopefully, both teams will end up in the NCAA tournament. I mean, high level game.
Coach, let's get you back to Logan. Thank you.
Thanks.
There he is, the head coach of the Aggies, and joining us now, the man who had the winning bucket in tonight's game, Gary Clark, kind enough to join us. 11 points, 14 rebounds. All right, walk us through that last bucket. in which you're able to get the W?
I have been attacking the glass pretty hard the whole game. I seen Mason come off the screen, shoot it. I just crashed as hard as I could. It came to me, and went back over with it.
14 rebounds tonight, but has rebounding always been a huge part of your game? Is that just something you've been born with, the ability to do that?
It's something that I've been priding myself on since I started basketball. I mean, my dad always told me that's what's going to keep you on the court. So that's what I've been doing since I got to college, and I'm going to continue to do it.
Texas A&M Corpus Christi, tremendous career there. What was it that led you to Utah State? What was it about this coaching staff where you said, I want to finish my career there?
Just coming from a low major, I just wanted the opportunity to play at a school that wins. The culture here is unbelievable. The fans are unbelievable. I talked with the coaches when I came on my visit, and it's all about winning here, and that's what I'm about.
When they're making that run, what are you guys talking about on the sidelines to try to keep a cool head?
Oh, we've been preparing for this moment. VCU's a great team. We knew they were going to make runs. It came down to the wire, and we were ready for the moment.
So you know that they were going to make a run, so it's just like, hey, calm down, we're going to be okay.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was one of them moments.
Well, and it's interesting, too, because for a game like this, usually neutral site, there's not a lot of people in the stands, but there was a lot of juice in this arena.
Oh, yeah, it was. We had a lot of fans on our side, and they had a lot of fans on our side. It was fun.
So you get the W, you come home 2-0. This is a game that I got to imagine you can build from and learn from going down the stretch.
Oh, absolutely. We're going to dig into the film, see where we can work on and better ourselves, and move on to the next game.
How's Logan treating you?
Oh, it's been beautiful. I love it. I love it.
Hey, man,
Yes,
thank you so much. Congratulations.
Appreciate you.
Couldn't be happier for you.
Yes, sir.
You were there, you watched the game, or you heard it all here on KVNU. So now it's your chance to give your thoughts and ask your questions about the action as KVNU Aggie Game Day continues with Aggie Call. The phone line is 435-753-KVNU. The text line is 435-554-1175. It's KVNU Aggie Call with J.D. Walker and Stockton Jukes.
The A is blue, probably in a fashion that was a little stressful. If you're joining us now, and congratulations, you made it through the Buffer Fest. If you tried to watch on the Urban Network, that was quite the interesting to go. But the Aggies pick up the W in Frisco, Texas. This is Aggie Call. Phone lines open, 753-5868. That's 753-5868. Also, the text line available at 435-554-1175. Out of the gate, Jalen Moore joining us here on Aggie Call. Jalen, you're here with JD and Stockton. What are your thoughts on the game and how you thought it all went down for the Aggies there in Frisco?
Yeah, I mean, like we said, I think you saw about everything you can see in a game. Big leads, big momentum swings, leads diminishing, guys making big shots like we said we wanted to see, VCU going on runs, like the intensity was high, felt like an end-of-year type of game. So I think it was great, I think we got, like we said, a lot of questions answered. I think you grow more as a player from a game like that, than winning a game by 20-plus points. So I thought our guys did great. Obviously I thought MJ Collins started out really hot, had a really great first half. I thought Mason had a really good second half. That was big for us. And then like we talked about before, Gary Clark just big, 11 and 14 off the bench, big offensive rebound, big putback. You can't really ask for much more from pretty much like your sixth man off the bench, giving you a double-double. And I'm hoping that he maintains that same energy, that same intensity all season. I think he will, but I think it's a big win, a step in the right direction. But obviously there's some areas we can continue to work on as well.
Talking to Jalen Moore here on Aggie Call, here on this beautiful Friday night in Cache Valley as the A is blue. Getting your feedback, too, if you want to hit up the text line with your thoughts, 435-554-1175. We'll get to the text line in just a minute. Looking at the stat line, there is some, we do have a win, but as MJ said in the postgame, there's some stuff to improve upon. First thoughts when I read you this stat. It was one of the ones that Stockton and I had discussed on pregame that we wanted to see a 2-to-1 assist-to-turnover ratio. Well, we didn't quite see that. In fact, we saw a 1-to-1, 18 assists for the Aggies, but 18 turnovers. Concerning to you, Jalen, or just kind of the early season getting everything kind of moving?
No, I like the 18 assists. I think that's a good number for a team. The 18 turnovers obviously is a little high, but I think towards the beginning of the season, to be expected a little bit, you do have a lot of brand new guys, a mix of freshmen, a mix of transfers, and a mix of returners, so guys that have got to get familiar playing with each other, getting each other's rhythm down and stuff like that. So I think that's kind of to be expected. Like you even look at VCU, they had 19 turnovers. And I think, you get 4 or 5 games in, 6 games, the more we start playing, I think that number will start to go down. And I think our assists will either stay around there or continue to go up. So I don't think it's too much to worry about. Obviously, like we said, if you have an 18-point lead, you don't want to turn over the ball where teams are getting back into the games like they did this game. But I think that's just, at the end of the day, we won the game, and I think those are just areas that we can improve.
Talking to Jalen Moore here on Aggie Call after the Aggies pick up the victory, 80-77. Maybe a little bit closer at the end than we thought it would be at halftime, as the Aggies had put up a 9-point lead when they went into the half. But VCU came out and played tough. Coach Calhoun also said there was a little bit difference in the way the game was called. One play sequence that sticks out for me is a VCU player was driving to the hoop. Mason was guarding him. Carso came in, got all ball, but Mason picked up one of those phantom fouls. Jalen, as a player, did you see any difference from the first half to the second half, how the officiating went?
Usually not really like within a game. I usually see it more within like a season. I feel like at the beginning of the season, they kind of call the ticky-tack stuff, and by the time you're watching the NCAA tournament, there's a lot of stuff that they let go. So I'm not surprised. I think, at the beginning of the season, they're going to try to keep games clean, try to call the ticky-tack stuff, but you hope that it's consistent throughout the whole game. And, I think a lot of fans saw, the coaching staff saw, it was a little bit different within the 2 halves, and it's unfortunate, but as a player, as a coach and everything that way, I think you just have to find the ways to adjust, and you got to adjust to the way that the refs are calling the game. And like I said, I think that's also just another area that you can improve. You can't control what the refs do and everything, but you can control, how you react to it in the way that you change the way you're playing. If you're able to be physical in the first half and they're not letting it fly in the second, you just got to make that adjustment for sure.
We're talking to Jalen Moore, former Utah State Aggie, here on KVNU Aggie Call. You can join the conversation, too. The text line available right now at 435-554-1175. And talking to Jalen about some of the things. One of the stats that I saw that was kind of interesting, we saw the 1-for-1 for the Aggies, turnovers to assist ratio. How does this approach you from a defensive mindset? The Aggies held the VCU Rams to 14 assists, but forced 19 turnovers. That's a pretty good defensive showing from this Calhoun team, right?
Yeah, it definitely is. And like we said, we saw both teams score over 100 points, so we held them to 77. We kind of mentioned Djokovic before the game. He doesn't even score, which would have changed the game for them, but he doesn't score, so you got to give us some credit defensively there. We obviously used our athleticism, used some aggressiveness, caused some turnovers, and, we were able to get some points off those turnovers, too. You look at you caused 19, we get 22 points off those. We're getting buckets in transition. We're getting some threes, some layups. I like that. I think we got to keep up the aggressiveness defensively. But like I said, if the refs do call the game a little bit more ticky-tack and stuff, we just got to make that adjustment to maybe, hey, we're not using as many hands. You're kind of chesting guys up and all that kind of stuff and just getting in the right position and all that.
Talking to Jalen Moore here on Aggie Call, getting his thoughts of the Aggies' win over the VCU Rams. Before we let you go, Jalen, give you his quick thoughts the next time we talk and meet. Will be on the 12th, next Wednesday. The Aggies back home in the Spectrum, bringing in Weber State, an in-state kind of rivalry a little bit there at the Spectrum. What do you expect to see from the Aggies when they come home from off the road?
Yeah, I think the fans are going to be awesome. First off, I think the Spectrum's going to be hopping. You're going to get a lot of fans from Utah coming to check out the game with it being against Weber State. So I think it's going to be an awesome Spectrum atmosphere. So I'm excited to see that. But I think you're going to see Aggies that are still aggressive defensively. We're still going to want to cause some turnovers. I was pretty surprised we only shot 13 threes, to be honest. I could see us shooting a few more threes. But I see us being a team that from now on, if we get a team down, we get them down double digits, I think we're going to be more of a team that's trying to put people away, not making some of those turnovers and that kind of stuff. So that's what I like to see. I think it's a game we should win, game that we might lead at times by a favorable amount. So I would like to see us make sure that, hey, if we get a 10 plus 15-point lead, let's put our let's keep our pedal to the metal and not let them back in the game. That's what I want to see next game if we get a good lead like that.
Jalen, let us know where we can find you. I know you've got your training that you do in here. I've been keeping tabs on you in the off season and stuff. Let us know where we can find you outside of Aggie Game Day and Aggie Call.
Yeah, for sure. The best way to get in touch would be visiting our website. That's nextlevelbasketball435.com, or at Gmail. I would love for people to email me. That's the best way I can get in touch with people. That email is nextlevelbasketball435@gmail.com. And sorry, our website is nextlevel435.com would be our website. So those are the two best ways. Our website will have a little comment section and ways to get in touch with me on there as well. So one of those two ways, I'd love to continue training kids around here and helping them out.
I love seeing the offers that you guys share that your kids get when they commit to other places. You guys are really reaching out to try to find these student athletes the next step, not only in their athletic career, but also in their athletic education as being a student athlete. Really appreciate what you're doing with the young athletes here in Cache Valley, and highly recommend Jalen, and appreciate you spending another season with us here on Aggie Call.
Yeah, appreciate you guys. Off to a good start, and I'm looking forward to the rest of the season for sure.
All right, Jalen, have a good Friday night, man. We'll talk to you on Wednesday.
Yep, same to you guys.
It's Aggie Call here on KVNU, and my guy over here. Let's take a break first, and then we're going to come back. We're going to have more of your reaction to the Aggies win over VCU. We had to get some of the comments and stuff from the text line. Also, phone lines open, 753-5868. But my guy is about to explode. We're going to update you on the high school football playoff scores. Green Canyon and Ridgeline coming back in 2.5 minutes here on Aggie Call.
Hi, this is Brooke Stevenson.
Ty Smith.
And David Castor with Adams Wealth Advisors. We're truly honored to be named Best of Northern Utah Gold winner for the Best Financial Planner. This community means everything to us, and we're grateful for every customer who made this possible. Thank you for your trust.
Advisory services offered through Adams Wealth Management, a registered investment advisor. For important disclosures and more information, visit adamswealthadvisors.com. That's adamswealthadvisors.com.
The patio is open. The chips are endless. Drinks on tap. You know it's got to be Cafe Sabor, Cache Valley's best Mexican restaurant, gold winner in the Best of Northern Utah contest. Experience Locals Day every Thursday with a huge burrito, endless chips and soda, only $7.95. That's a complete lunch for just $7.95. Finding any lunch under $10 is nearly impossible. Every Thursday, drinks, chips, and massive burrito, just $7.95. The patio, the sun, the fun at Cafe Sabor in the historic train station on 6th Weston Center in Logan.
Advanced Heating and Air Conditioning and Advanced Fireplace and Stove want to help local families this year with a food drive. Drop your canned foods off at the Advanced Fireplace and Stove showroom across from DI, or hand them to one of their technicians when they come to your home for a repair. The Advanced team will match all contributions and offer the first month free when joining the Advanced Comfort Club. Find out more at advancedheating-ac.com. Donate to the Advanced Canned Food Drive for local families.
If you're thinking about getting engaged this holiday season, S.E. Needham Jewelers is a place to shop for your diamond engagement ring. S.E. Needham's has the largest selection of wedding rings in the area, including hundreds of styles in platinum, white gold, and yellow gold. We import diamonds direct from Antwerp, Belgium, which enables us to guarantee the best price on diamonds. We also offer the most complete warranty and services of any store in the state. Monday through Saturday, 10 to 7, where Utah gets engaged. S.E. Needham Jewelers, middle of the block, at the sign of the clock.
This is Brent Wallace with Cache Valley Bank, and we understand that concerns about fraud can weigh heavily on you. Your peace of mind is important to us. That's why we're committed to looking out for you and your family. Our team keeps a vigilant eye on your account, and if you ever have concerns or need support, we're just a call or visit away. Whether you need advice or just someone to talk to, our friendly staff is ready to help. We're more than just a bank. We're your neighbors, and we care about your security. Visit your local branch today. Cache Valley Bank, member FDIC.
Rumors spreading round in that Texas town about the shack outside the games. And you know what I'm talking about. Just let me know if you wanna go to that home out on the range. They got a lot of nice girls.
It's Aggie Call with J.D. Walker and Stockton Jukes. Call 435-753-KVNU or text 435-554-1175.
Coach Calhoun and the Aggies went down to that little shack in Texas and brought home the win. It's a Blue A outside in Cache Valley as the boys getting ready to come home on a Friday night. You're listening to Aggie Call with Stockton Jukes. I'm J.D. Walker. The text line open at 435-554-1175. That's 435-554-1175. Phone lines also open up right now to give us your thoughts, your feedback on what you saw from the Utah State Aggies performance against VCU. And my guy, you are smiling big. We are keeping an eye on several things. The ladies' hoops game, they fell to the Utes, but a great performance from Westbrook's team, Coach Brooks. And now, my guy, share the good news.
Yeah, no, I'm just thrilled for JT Towley-Ely and everyone up at Green Canyon Football, including our friend Tyler Larson.
Yep.
Going to be seeing all those boys at 6 p.m. at Rice-Eccles Stadium on Friday. They just pulled off a huge upset, second upset in the same amount of weeks for Green Canyon. They took down number 3 Snow Canyon last week, and tonight they took down number 11 Skyline in Salt Lake on a blocked 2-point attempt with like 3 seconds left in the game. Just unbelievable defensive stand for Green Canyon, getting the tackle that they needed right when they needed it, and they're going to have to face Crimson Cliffs again at Utah on Friday. That is the team that has knocked Green Canyon out of the playoffs in both years of JT Towley-Ely's run at Green Canyon so far. He'll get a third chance on Friday, and I'm really excited about it.
Third time's a charm, and also our guys up in Thrillville, they're still dominating and rolling
no one's
through.
touching them. They're going to play Provo on Thursday the 13th. So they'll play Thursday night at 6. Green Canyon will play Friday night at 6. Ridgeline, I expect, will win that game against Provo by 35+, and then whoever they play in the state championship, same deal.
What was the score for the Ridgeline game tonight?
49-3 over Park City.
So Cache Valley, Green Canyon, and Ridgeline showing out tonight.
We did have a huge shocker in 3A too, because I know a lot of people follow 3A now that Logan's down in that division. Manti upset Morgan in the state semifinals down at SUU, so it's going to be Manti and Cedar in the 3A state championship. Morgan has been dethroned.
Wow. There's a big playoff football going on, and all the details can be found at the wrap-up of those games at CacheValleyDaily.com. We'll also have streaming for you here from the Cache Valley Media through Cache Valley Daily. Also, as those games get closer, we'll have more details on that and share it with you right here on KVNU. But back to the Aggies tonight. Taking care of business against VCU. Heading to the text line real quick, starting things off. Here we go. This one came in at 8:30. Are you guys, this one coming from 5883, first-time texter. Thanks for texting the show. Are you guys also wondering why Calhoun likes Keller and wouldn't play Elam?
I think it's because Keller didn't get to play on Monday night, and so he was playing Zach in place of Adlin purely because he needed to see what Zach could do in the flow of the game. Also, Adlin Edelman is a freshman. Calhoun is looking to cut down his rotation to 9 guys. And in a game that he thinks is going to be tight, he's probably not going to play a bunch of freshmen. I think we really saw a tightened rotation tonight from Coach Calhoun. It was only 9 guys. I don't think Jordy saw the floor. There was a couple other, Adlam. And I'm thinking, who is the other guy who didn't see the floor tonight off the top of my head? I can't remember it. But Zach Keller got some minutes. Of course, cool to see him getting in there, getting some boards, and making a difference. Gary Clark with a big double-double performance off the bench. Coming up next year on the text line, 0783, we've got the Mountain West is off to a bad start, eliminating what little breathing room slip-ups we have. 3 inexcusable losses between Boise losing to Hawaii Pacific, UNLV losing to Tennessee Martin, and Fresno losing to USC Uptown Funk, or Upstate. Reality is we can only control what we do, so hopefully we avoid our own bad losses, starting with Wednesday's game being more like Weaver's 2019 visit than their 2022 visit. Yeah, I concur. You got to keep the foot on the gas. Of course, I talked about this on the full court press for the Grace, the conference. We talked on the roundtable. I'm still trying to figure that out, how I'm supposed to root for UNR and Reno and all that stuff. And but I get it. You want the conference to be good so the wins look better and your resume. But if we just win the whole dang thing, that kind of takes care of itself too. Well, kind of, but also if you win a conference that's perceived as weak, then people don't think it's that impressive. But here's what I will say, and I'm going to do something that I'm going to do one time and I'm never going to do again. I'm going to defend Leon Rice. Uh-oh. And I'm going to say this. Leon Rice's loss to Hawaii Pacific does not hurt the rest of the conference. It does not hurt the net. It doesn't touch Ken Palm. It does not hurt the conference as a whole. UNLV and Fresno's losses to Tennessee Martin and South Carolina Upstate both hurt the conference. because those are D1 teams that are going to drag the net down, drag the Ken Palm down, drag down the seeding and the perceived strength and value of the rest of these Mountain West teams. They're 3 bad losses, but as far as Utah State fans are concerned, UNLV and Fresno hurt Utah State. Boise just gave us something to laugh about. So,
yeah, that's true. And they probably increased the merch sales for the Sharks out there in
Hawaii
Hawaii Pacific.
They dropped limited edition merch a couple hours ago. Go find their Twitter feed. Go buy some Sharks merch. We're going to be wearing it in 3 months' time in the Spectrum.
I'm going to be singing Baby Shark to Coach Leon Rice. Coming up next, 9315. We got a couple of here. A live look at the ID department for the app. Yeah, I'm with the Urban Edge network from 9315. How do you put out that kind of product? I can't believe all the fouls in the game. Lots and lots of great stuff in this game. P.S. The Urban Edge network should have been somebody like ESPN or nationally televised. It was for those that try to stream the game, it was a very disappointing experience. I think Buffer was the high scorer of the night with a triple-double.
There's one positive that I can give to Urban Edge Network, and it's that they saved me from a full-on emotional breakdown in the last 4 minutes of that game, because if I would have had to watch Utah State blow that 18-point lead instead of stat broadcast watch it, I would have been saying very different things on the show tonight.
Yeah, it's kind of different to see how it wrapped up. And, of course, the close. And Coach Calhoun made a little bit of a mention. We'll hear from his post-game comments here in just a second. He made a little bit of a mention about how the game was called. So it'll be something that we'll definitely check out. Coming up next, also on all the fouls in the game, that's also what Coach Calhoun mentioned too. Some of them are like shadow fouls. It almost felt like there was a little bit of a catch-up being dished out a little bit. I don't know. It was kind of difficult to see. Going back and watching the game film is something that I might do tonight or tomorrow. To see actually what was happening with the buffering issues and listening to the radio feed and the live stats, it was really kind of hard to see some of the contact out there. So we'll check that out. Up next, 5452. Bless us that we don't ever have to try watching a game on the Urban Edge Network ever again. Painful. Glad the Aggies got the win. Show that they could fight through adversity and a loss that would have hurt having such a large lead. I absolutely agree, Stockton, on that. I don't know how much of it was a collapse or how much of it was just VCU being an opponent that, when you looked at the odds, it was a 3.5-point favorite. So, I mean, you kind of got right there.
Kind of, yeah, but there were some guys down the stretch for Utah State that played bad games and that just didn't look good tonight. I've been a huge Carson Templin fan for years. Carson played a terrible game tonight. -9 in the plus-minus, 4 personal fouls. 3 turnovers, only 2 rebounds, only 8 points. That was a rough game out there for Carson Templin. Drake Allen had a rough second half. Went from a plus to a -1.
Let me get in on Templin real quick. Okay, because, I'll let you go there, but 3 steals and 3 blocks, and one of the steals to seal the game. So I understand it's got the minus there on the thing, but other than those 3 turnovers, I'm not really feeling too much like it was a bad game on that. I mean, if you add in everything on it, but the 3 blocks and the steals and stuff, that's kind of...
Those are good, but he was out there when Carson Templin was on the floor, the Aggies were outscored by 9 points. That's what that means. So he was a defensive liability tonight for Utah State. He had a couple good plays at the end of the game, but he's a large part why that 18-point lead evaporated with 3 minutes and 50 seconds left.
Okay, well, we'll have to agree to disagree. I think it was more of a team kind of essence on it with the turnovers and the assist-to-turnover ratio being 1-to-1.
Look, I'm still a huge Carson Templin fan. I'm not saying this is the end-all, be-all for his season. I just don't think he played a great game tonight, and I think he's a lot better than what he showed on the court, especially in the second half. Same with Drake Allen. I think Drake didn't look great in the second half, but they've got such a higher ceiling than that.
But see, when you say a bad performance, that's where I'll disagree on the 3 steals and 3 blocks. Drake, 7 points, 2 rebounds, 9 assists, 6 steals, 1 block. Yes, 4 turnovers and 25% shooting from the field. But that to me is a solid all-around performance from him. Those 6 assists and 6 steals, I mean, he's single-handedly interrupting the offense. I do agree. They were able to close in, and really difficult to tell.
Yeah, Drake
video-wise.
Drake had a great game, dishing the ball out. 9 assists is a team high by 6. 6 steals, team high by 3. Those are great stats, but he shot 1 for 4, 7 points, missed a 3, 5 for 6 from the free throw line. So he's gotten 5 of those 7 points from the stripe. 2 rebounds. Listen, my point in saying all this is that the guys out there in the second half specifically, they fell off a little bit, and they can play better than that. This game should not have been as close as it was. And, just reading the stats, because obviously we didn't get to watch the last 10 minutes of that game. But, looking at the numbers here, there's a couple things that raised some eyebrows where Drake was, a much higher. He was in the positives in the plus-minus with 5 minutes left in that game, ends with a -1. And Carson with that -9. Those are just things that you kind of got to get nitpicky about in games like this, because Utah State has shown potential that they've got the potential to be a top 20 contender in the country this year. And when you get to that point, you've got to be nitpicky about stuff like that.
Going back to the text line, can you grab the next one up there for me, Stockton?
It looks like 9836 wants to know where Adlin Eeleman was tonight, kind of just where we were mentioning a little bit ago. Calhoun's trying to shave down that rotation to a 9-man rotation, have 9 players he's playing consistently, and the freshmen are typically the first to go.
Okay, I wanted to look at something. Second half stats, the plus-minus. Carson was he was the 4th. In the list. Coming up, number 1 on the list was Kobe King with a -10, MJ Collins with a -9, and Zach Keller with a -7. Then you had Carson with a second half -6 complete. Your second half stars, it looks like Gary Clark with a +7 and Mason with a +5. Stockton, that's something that's going to have to close out games and to be complete. Not to use the phrase we love, complimentary basketball. Is that a thing?
No,
okay,
it's not. But
right. I tried.
No, and listen, this is where some of the issues were with Utah State last year. So it's a little concerning, and this is why we're getting nitpicky with all this stuff at this point in the season. Game 2 against the first D1 opponent that you've had, but to have that kind of a fall off, to have the guys really try and sit down on a lead and then lose it all in 2.5 minutes, that has got to be cleaned up. And to see all these guys in the negative and the plus-minus in the second half specifically just kind of really tells you nobody had a good second half outside of Mason Falslev and Gary Clark. And Gary Clark, I'm going to say, is probably the reason that we won this game.
Yeah, that put back at the end.
That was the play. He had 7 huge rebounds, 4 of them offensive, and the biggest one at the end of the game. Only 3 fouls for him. He had 12 minutes in that second half, only had 4 points, but only attempted 1 from the field, went 2 for 4 from the stripe.
But in those 12 minutes, those 7 boards, and what sticks out big is 4 of those on offense. I mean, that's something I think Coach Calhoun's team kind of lacked last year with the size and the ability to get in there and rebound.
Well, what's crazy, too, is he had 7 rebounds in the first half as well. He had 14 total, 6 total offensive, 8 total defensive. He was all over the glass tonight, and that is something that Utah State needed this offseason. Gary Clark is a huge pickup.
And looking at some other stats in the second half, let's see. So for the game, they shot 48%, got a little colder in the second half, so 37.9. Three-point shooting just went really ice cold, 20% compared to 46.2 for the game. But let's see, the assist-to-turnover ratio in that half, that's where it was negative for the Aggies, Stockton, looking at that. 6 assists to 9 turnovers. That's a really rough. Of course, they got a little bail out a little bit because the steals, they were able to get 5, so it balances out just a little bit. But that is something the Aggies are definitely going to have to clean up. Don't you think, on that second half performance closing out the games?
Yeah, no, 100%. And again, Utah State struggled a little bit in the second half of games, in the second half of the season last year. This is something we want to nip in the bud as early as possible.
So the Aggies get the win 80-77 over VCU. We're going to take a quick break. Coming back, we'll hear from Coach Calhoun. Also get more of your comments from the text line available to you right now. We are taking calls and your texts until we wrap things up here. 435-554-1175. The text line's open. If you want to sound off on the phone line, get you to the front of the line, 753-5868. That's 435-753-5868. We'll be back with more KVNU Aggie Call after this.
The patio is open. The chips are endless. Drinks on tap. You know it's got to be Cafe Sabor, Cache Valley's best Mexican restaurant, gold winner in the Best of Northern Utah contest. Experience Locals Day every Thursday with a huge burrito, endless chips and soda, only $7.95. That's a complete lunch for just $7.95. Finding any lunch under $10 is nearly impossible. Every Thursday, drinks, chips, and massive burrito, just $7.95. The patio, the sun, the fun at Cafe Sabor in the historic train station on 6th Weston Center in Logan.
Hi, this is Ashley with LSS Insurance. Are you worried about the high Medicare supplement premiums or wondering what your prescription costs will be next year? There are so many Medicare options and it can feel overwhelming. That's why I'm here to help guide you through every choice. Call LSS Insurance at 752-9493 to talk to a licensed local agent. No pressure, no cost, just clear personal advice you can trust. Don't wait. Changes must be made by December 7th. Call 752-9493 today.
Let Elements Restaurant take the work out of your Thanksgiving feast. Enjoy a full course, chef-prepared holiday dinner, perfectly roasted turkey with sage gravy, cranberry sauce, garlic mashed potatoes, whipped sweet potatoes, traditional stuffing, green beans, and your choice of pumpkin pie, apple galette, or pecan pie. All pre-cooked and ready to serve. Available for pickup the Wednesday before Thanksgiving from 3 p.m. to 7:50 p.m. Relax and enjoy a gourmet Thanksgiving at home. Pre-order today. Call Elements Restaurant 750-5171. That's 750-5171. Because great holidays start with great food.
For 80 years, West Motor Company has been helping Cache Valley drive home in a vehicle they love. And around here, people know Ford and Ram cost less in Preston. Right now, you could save over $10,000 off a brand new Ram heavy-duty Bighorn, or over $12,000 off Dodge Charger RT, and over $5,000 off Jeep Grand Cherokee. Say it with me. Ford and Ram cost less in Preston. Always have, always will. West Motor Company, 80 years strong and still driven to serve you.
Addiction is something in this day and age I think all of us have been touched by in some form or way. For me, 14 years ago, I lost my father to an opioid overdose. Addiction is something that whether you're struggling with it personally or you're watching someone you love struggle with it, it can feel like there's no hope. If you've lost hope or you're scared for someone that you love and you don't see hope on their path, call Renaissance Ranch today. You can learn more at renaissanceranch.net. They have a location right here in Logan.
Utah State Aggie broadcast is brought to you by Advanced Fireplace and Stove. Comfort is their business. On News Talk KVNU, where our true colors have always been Aggie blue and white.
You're listening to Aggie Call on KVNU Logan, 102.1 FM, 610 AM, and to Aggie fans around the world at KVNUtalk.com. J.D. Walker, Stockton Jukes, getting you all caught up and wrapping up the Aggies' victory, 80-77. Over the VCU Rams. The text line open, 435-554-1175, or the phone line available and get you to the front of the line at 753-5868. That's 753-KVNU. Back to the text line to wrap up a couple more texts, and then we'll jump in to the post-game presser with Coach Calhoun.
Yeah, 1326 coming in to let us know that, first of all, it should have never come down to that, but the Aggies looked good. We are very deep. Yeah, there's a lot of depth on that team. I wouldn't say they looked great tonight. I wouldn't say they looked good in the second half, but they looked they did what they needed to do, and we'll say that. There's another text coming up here that we'll get to in just a second. Also saying that it's concern about Grand Canyon University, who was apparently supposed to come into the Mountain West and win the league. They trail by 11 to Jerrod Calhoun's old team, Youngstown State.
That's
with
nuts.
5 minutes left in the second half.
Holy smokes, ladies and gentlemen! Oh my goodness!
This is a good time to bring this up, I think. But I jumped on an interview with some of the Salt Lake media guys a couple months ago, and they were asking about Utah State football and all this stuff, and we were chatting about some of that stuff, and then they brought up basketball, and they said, hey, Grand Canyon, how do you see them doing in the Mountain West? And I said, well, probably 4th or 5th. You know, you've got the perennials in Boise and San Diego and Utah State and occasionally some other random 4th team that really run the table in that conference, and I don't think Grand Canyon's going to come in and really challenge. They spent the next 10 minutes telling me I wasn't giving Grand Canyon enough credit. So...
No, their fan base and stuff, fans.
Well, this was Salt Lake media.
Yeah,
there's national hype about Grand Canyon.
They don't. they don't give a you look. I'm not a guy that needs their flowers, but they don't really pay much attention to us up here.
They never have.
And so that is what it is. But Grand Canyon, Grand Canyon, sorry. It's going to be a Freudian slip. I love Green Canyon. I love the Wolves up there. But these guys, GCU, maybe easier to do that. It just they came in like a lot of their fans thought they were just going to run it. And it was going to go. And Youngstown State is putting it down right now. And for the good of the conference.
Keep in mind, this is Youngstown State that dropped their season opener to Pitt 74-59.
Oh, man. 88-24. Anyone else feel far better with Perryman handling the ball in crunch time under pressure than Allen? No. Actually, I see what you're saying, 8824. I am a Perryman fan. I love how he dishes the ball. I love the court vision. I think he's going to be refined. I gave this kind of comparison on the full court press as much as he's a shot creator and stuff. Drake is a surgeon. Yeah, there was a couple turnovers there, but the 9 assists and 6 steals, I mean, that's the guy you're going to want to have coming down in crunch time, and Drake's got a lot of that veteran leadership to be able to do that.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Not only does he have, the stats there, but he's also got 5 years of NCAA D1 experience over Elijah Perryman. And I'm going to say something that might ruffle some feathers here, but Utah State fans have a tendency to suffer really badly from recency bias. You and I can be included in that sometimes, but Elijah Perryman had one good game against Westminster. He was 2 for 6 with 6 points tonight, 1 rebound, 3 assists, 2 fouls, and 3 turnovers. And we want to say he should be handling the ball in the second half. He's a freshman. He's going to get there. He's going to develop. But let's pump the brakes a little bit. I know Drake turned the ball over a couple times, and I've been critical of Drake's second half performance tonight. But we're not at the point of we need a freshman to replace our graduate transfer point guard.
Yeah, because there's going to be a lot more hostile environments that the Aggies are going to have to go into and play, and that's going to have to be something that the young man gets accustomed to. Now, he may take to it like a duck to water and just fly, but on the other hand, you've got the stalwart veteran that just 7 points, 9 assists, 6 steals. He even had a block in there, which, sneaky good for him. Yeah, he had a couple of turnovers, but the Aggies in general across the board, I mean, it was a 1-to-1 assist-to-turnover ratio. I think really what made the difference in the separation, Stockton, was the steals, was the 4 steals that the Aggies did. They were able to get there and force some blocks, too. They were out-blocked by VCU, but they were able to make it and pull off the win, 80-77.
And we said we were going to be dialed in on the assist-to-turnover ratio. Utah State went 18-18. They went a dead 1-to-1. VCU went 14-19. So Utah State got the ball away from them. They won the turnover battle. They won the assist battle. They won that ratio battle. They had VCU under 1-to-1, and they were at a exact 1-to-1. Now, I thought they were going to look a lot better on offense tonight, especially in that second half. And I'm sure we'll talk more about that at length on Wednesday. But, I don't think we need to jump ship on some of these guys quite yet. Me saying, Drake and Carson had a bad second half, had a bad night, that's not me saying put them on the bench and don't give them minutes for the rest of the season. That's me saying they just didn't look that great tonight, and they need to, readjust to playing these high-quality D1 opponents, because VCU gave them, a little bit to think about at the end of that game. They still got the job done. That's all you ask, and a win is a win. We'll move on, especially given how some of the other Mountain West is faring. But
and Ken Palm did have them winning by 2, and they won by 3. So, I mean, not all the time are the prognosticators right, but, they kind of lined it up on that one.
Yeah, it's the kind of night to me. Listen, it's been a weird week for me personally. It was a weird night, a weird game, a weird stream, a weird viewing experience.
Yeah,
everything about tonight and this week in general has just been weird. I'm happy to get out of here with a 3-point win and move on to next week.
Moving up next on the text line, 8968. Thanks for texting in to Aggie Call. You can text in too. The number is 435-554-1175. That's the Aggie text line. And going to 8968 now. I learned in basketball in junior high and high school, you have to put the team away you're playing, no matter how it's going with the refs seemingly against your team. You can never let up. I don't know if there was any let up or just, I don't think there was any let up. I think it was just kind of failed execution, maybe going a little cold from the field. The shooting percentage went down into the 30s. The 3-point percentage went down to 20%. And you had the turnovers, and basically every Aggie that played except for 3 in the second half were negative in the plus-minus. So I think maybe it wasn't just like taking the foot off the gas. I think it was more of a execution and early season kind of execution issues, because you still got guys who this is their second or actually fourth matchup against opposing teams. And that's still 4 games in getting things worked out, 2 of those being exhibitions. So, Stock, do you want to take 4826 or 4829? Sorry.
Yeah, that was the worst stream of all time, but good learning lesson for the boys tonight. We will grow and learn from this. Yeah, I agree. They need to learn from that last 5 minutes of the game, and they will. Calhoun will have them watch it over and over and over and over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And they'll work it out between now and Wednesday. I'm also going to share a theory that I came up with and posted on social media during that second half, but I think that Utah State allowed this game to get scheduled on the Urban Edge Network because y'all were too mouthy about the Mountain West Network, and you needed to remember how good you have it.
No, that's not it. That's not it. I like the theory, though. It'll make it, we will joke about this. I think this is added to, I almost brought out the, I have saved in my favorites on my phone a nice picture of Monty from last season. Shout out to Monty for winning the dog show that we got the post-game wrap-up on. But that is where I feel like the Urban Edge Network is going to be right next to Monty.
I don't think they could get signed by the American Kennel Club after that showing tonight.
No, I think they'd have to go back. I think
I do feel kind of bad for them because, look, when it's a network like that, they're trying to build from the ground up. They finally get like a big, nationally notable game for 2 perennial NCAA tournament
the stream
teams.
Could handle it.
They were not ready for that level of traffic. They put out a bad product. They had a copy and paste score graphic that didn't have colors or logos on it. It was just a poor product. And to put that out in the opportunity that you have to televise a game like that, that's going to really hurt you for the next several years trying to get any other notable event on your platform.
And then I did learn, though, something tonight. The Urban Edge Network helped me continue my never-ending quest to keep learning. I learned that on a Windows machine, or better yet, my brother Jason Walker's laptop that was casting it, to refresh, it's F5. That's a shortcut. So we learned something today, although we couldn't figure out why it muted the feed every time we tried to refresh it. But thankfully, that probably will be one of the last times we have to deal with that network. Going back to the text line, we've got 0606. Nice to see you texting in. Thanks for doing that. This they did better in the first half. I think it shouldn't have been a palm sweat game at the end. Yeah, we we totally agree with that. 0606 and 8968. Let's see. Congratulations, you're the winner there. All right, congratulations to Johnny for being the score prediction win. We appreciate you listening out there. Actually, listening in California. Both the wife and him are alumni.
Looks like they're coming out here for the Boise State game as well. So, I mean, if people are making a trip out from California for Utah State football, y'all can get some tickets and go watch Utah State football in person.
Oh, yeah, and he picked up the Cafe Sabor gift card that we give for the score prediction, so appreciate you doing that.
He had 81-77. Sounds like someone reads the ag shit, man. That's the exact same score prediction that Mayhorn had.
Oh, man. Dang. All right, let's go ahead and roll out Coach Calhoun's post-game presser here on KVNU. We got about 6 minutes here. We'll come back with some final thoughts and wrap things up here on Aggie Call on KVNU.
Oh, he's just fire away.
I guess just to start with the obvious, I mean, the good is you had an 18-point lead. The bad is you blew it. And then the good is you didn't lose the game. Just kind of how do you analyze that where you had the 18-point lead, then didn't, but you still won?
Yeah, I mean, obviously a roller coaster of a game. You won't be involved in too many of those. I think, like you said, the important thing is you won. These are the games you're worried about this early in the season. You know, we knew VCU was going to be relentless. We knew their pressure was going to be real. I thought the last 8 to 10 minutes, they were just relentless in their pursuit of the basketball. They're up the line. You know, we had a lot of turnovers. I mean, that was my biggest fear the whole week. There's only so much you can practice until you get in those situations. But really proud of our guys sticking together. And, you know, I think hopefully in March, this will be a big time resume builder. But yeah, not pleased with the last 8 minutes of the game.
Coach, just talk a little bit about Gary Clark tonight. He gets those 14 rebounds, but that last one was huge. And then to put it back to get you guys kind of stop their momentum just a little bit.
Yeah, we wouldn't have won a game like this last year, Sean. Here's what I've been telling you guys, the difference between last year and this year's team. I mean, we only made 6 threes tonight. We out-rebounded that team. Gary and Zach will add a much added toughness level, rebounding level to our basketball team. We're going to be able to win ugly. And we really did that the last 8 minutes. To only make 6 threes is very uncharacteristic of one of my teams. But I thought Gary was engaged. I thought Gary had a great 2 or 3 days of practice. I thought Zach did as well. The game was called totally different in the second half. I thought both teams were too ramped up. Both teams fouled each other a lot. I actually thought the officials did a great job of calling that game. But you got to give VCU a lot of credit. I think a lot of teams don't do that nowadays. I think they're a fantastic team. So I think it was a really good win.
Hey, Coach, Patrick Mayhorn from the Ag Ship. You had 9 assists, 6 steals here from Drake. Didn't do a ton of scoring, but did a little bit of everything else. How important was he for kind of stabilizing the team there down the stretch?
Yeah, I mean, he about cost us the game on the out of bounds play. I mean, he is the one that threw the ball away with I think it was a 4-point game. They cut it to 2. So I don't think we were ever steadied, to be honest with you, Patrick. I think we just kind of outlasted them. I don't think anybody on our team settled anybody down. We had 18 turnovers. That's collectively way too many turnovers.
Coach, MJ Collins playing a pretty big role in, I guess, maybe not steadying, but at least keeping you guys ahead, where he had the 14 first half points, and I think he had 6 or 7 points late after a brief scoring drought. Just how big was that scoring from him?
Yeah, we went to him when Mason was in foul trouble. We were really just trying to buy time from about 8 to almost 3.5 minutes. Mason sat about 5 minutes. So you're sitting there as a coach thinking, how are we going to get the ball in the basket? We posted up and we got MJ on wide pin downs. He did a great job of turning the corner. He made the 2 biggest free throws of the game. I've been saying it all along. He's a kid that's going to really benefit for playing from the Aggies. We're going to give him freedom. 3 turnovers is too many, but he can really score the ball. I thought he really tried to rebound, ends up getting 3. But his percentages are great. He's not doing things he can't do. Guys are finding him. And it was, we needed him. I've said all along, I think he's an all Mountain West guy.
Coach, you mentioned Keller with relation to his rebounding. I thought his defense in general was pretty impressive in the paint as well. How does that change what you can do with that defense when you have a guy who's mobile like him, who's also communicating in the way that he does?
I mean, it changes everything. Honestly, these guys would have been in the 60s if we didn't throw the ball over the gym. To be honest with you, our defense was exceptional. Zach and Gary are a big part of that. They don't give up defensive rebounds. They hit people. Zach's 6'10", so he alters shots. It's hard to score over top of him, and he'll get better and better at that.
Coach, you went with some 2 big lineups today with Gary, and then you was running through the Carson or Zach. You said you were going to do that in the offseason. I think this is the first time I've noticed it. At least I didn't watch the San Francisco game, but what was your thoughts on how those lineups did tonight?
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was actually really good. This is a game we thought we were going to need to do it, Jason, because they're just relentless. They're going to go to the glass. They're tough kids. That's their identity. So we knew we were going to go big, and I think we'll continue to do that. We got to figure out a way to get Adlin on the court. I didn't think he had 2 days of really bad practice. He wasn't engaged. And the nice thing I have at my disposal, guys that don't work and aren't totally locked in, I don't have to play them. I have plenty of options. I have 12 guys that can play. And competition is just going to get harder and harder, but we're going to play 10 or 11 guys. We're not going to play 12. And I think the 2 big lineup stuff is going to be good.
And how did you feel Elijah did? I know he had some turnovers late as well, but overall, how do you feel like he did in his first game against a D1 team?
Yeah, I mean, just the experience he'll get from this is going to be monumental. Obviously had a really, really bad 2 to 3 minute stretch, but he's got to learn from that. I thought he was pretty good the first half, but some late hiccups for sure that we'll have to look at.
Those are Coach Calhoun's post-game comments here on KVNU. You're listening to Aggie Call with Stockton Jukes. I'm J.D. Walker. And now listening to the post-game coverage brought to you by Jason Walker from the Full Court Press. You can also catch Jason's breakdown of the full action against VCU at CashValleyDaily.com. Here's post-game comments from Drake Allen and Elijah Perriman here on Aggie Call.
So I guess I'll just start. Jason Walker with Cache Valley Daily. I'll start with you, Drake. I know you had, I think, 6 steals or something around that. Obviously, a lot of you guys forced a lot of turnovers. Just tell us what went into that, where you guys were able to turn them over so much in this game.
Yeah, I think we did a good job in practice of emphasizing, getting in the gaps. And then I think just every 50-50 ball, trying to get on the ground first, be the first one to it, something that I've taken pride in this summer. And I think it's just showing out. So it's a little bit of luck too. So it's all good.
Patrick Mayhorn from the Ag Ship here. I've got one for Elijah. First game against a D1 opponent at the college level that's not an exhibition. What surprised you about this? What didn't surprise you about your first exposure at this level?
Yeah, I feel like I've been playing this game for so long. It's kind of like the same thing, every game it's not really different. Just go out, give them all. It was definitely shocking because, guys are stronger. It's a lot different than high school. Guys are stronger, faster, more athletic. But for me, just keeping a composure and sticking to what I know I can do.
This is Jason again. I'll ask this one to Drake. Just tell us about what the dynamic of this game felt like, where you guys were up by double digits for most of the game, and then suddenly things kind of start crashing down a little bit. What was that like for you guys, having that emotional high, or at least leading? And then how did you guys kind of handle having to finish the game where suddenly it was close again?
Yeah, a lot of highs and lows, which is something that, it's going to come with time as we build a little bit more culture together. When we're really good, we're really good. And then I felt like, like you said, when it started crashing, you just got to find a way to bounce back, find a way to, take a punch and then give one right back. And they took a lot of punches, and so did we, right? And it was a little bit closer in the end than we wanted it to be. But some games are going to be like that. And we just got to learn that, when times get rough, we got to come together, stick together. And that's kind of what we did tonight.
I'll ask one more of Elijah. Just what did you see from the offense, where obviously you guys did spectacular in the first half, started to slow down in the second half? Was it just kind of you guys shot 60% in the first half. That tends not to carry over completely, but what was in the second half that things just kind of started to slow down for you guys?
I just think that sometimes we weren't executing, guys weren't in the right spots. It's hard. It was a loud crowd, it's hard to hear stuff going on, game of runs and everything. But I just feel like, we stuck to what we did, some shots are going to go in, some aren't. So just sticking to what we do is the biggest thing.
I'll ask one for Drake. You team in the second half only took 5 threes. What was VCU's defense showing to dictate more of an internal attack there?
Yeah, I think that they picked up their pressure pretty heavily. Once you get up 10, 15, on good defensive teams, they're going to pick up their pressure and try to speed you up. And I think once we noticed that, they were inching out the shooters a lot, trying to get in the passing lanes. So Coach did a good job, and as well as our bigs, of kind of getting inside position. And when, people are so spaced out, it gives your bigs an opportunity to work. It also gives us an opportunity to get downhill when you're getting pressured so hard. So that's kind of what happened. And you just got to take advantage of what the defense gives to you.
I want to ask one more for Drake or Elijah, whichever one wants to answer this. But kind of walk me through that last play with Gary Clark getting the putback. Like, what was kind of the game plan on that particular play, and just what was the emotions like for you, where the shot initially misses, but Gary obviously gets back and gets that one?
Yeah, well, I don't think the plan wasn't to miss and then get a rebound. That definitely wasn't the plan. But the initial plan was to get someone getting downhill, tie game, you want to get someone at the rim, try to maybe get a foul call, just apply pressure, and Gary rebounded his butt off all night. I think, who is that? Yeah, 14 rebounds. And that was the biggest one of the night. He battled. We talk about winning the fight. And he won the fight tonight. Every single time he was in the paint, he won the fight.
Those were the post-game comments from Drake Allen and Elijah Perryman, two of the backcourt men there, the Aggies. I think starting point guard and point guard that is behind Drake, the first one off the bench. Stockton, as we get ready to wrap up under the Blue A that's up on Old Main tonight, the Aggies taking care of business, 80-77. Some final thoughts from you, my friend.
Yeah, again, weird game. I think Calhoun said it well, where, kind of everything that we've been saying for the last 45 minutes, obviously he's going to say it a lot better and a lot smarter than we are, but just a poor 8 minutes of basketball for Utah State and things that they have got to clean up and got to address at this point in the season. Obviously, just didn't really know a lot about this team coming into the game. Having a season opener against the D2 school that you beat by 56 just doesn't really tell you anything. So getting some of the answers that we wanted tonight, having some concerns raised tonight for this team, but Calhoun sounds like he's got everything kind of figured out as far as what he wants to address and, who he really needs to, or who he feels he needs to dial in on. And then I thought it was really interesting hearing that about Adlin Edelman, that he didn't play tonight because he's been practicing poorly. That is not something that I like to hear, and I really like Calhoun's response, because if you're not going to take practice seriously, you don't deserve to play for Utah State. And that shows that coach has boundaries and he has expectations for his players. He's going to make them live up to those expectations. I see that different. I totally agree with that. 0158. When did J.D. Walker become Jason Walker's brother? There was actually a true life story made about how Jason and I are related. You may know the story of Joe Dirt. Oh, my God.
I'm the one that they left at the Grand Canyon.
I'm going home. Good night.
So that's going to wrap it up for us pretty much. But final thoughts. It's a Blue A out there. Enjoy your Friday night. Be safe out there. And we're going to go home and get some shut-eyes, some food, and we're going to be back here tomorrow at 3:30 to kick off KVNU Aggie Game Day as the Aggies get ready to host the UNR Penitentiary State Mean Machine, or whatever they're going by these days.
It's going to be really funny around here in about 18 hours. I highly recommend you tune back in.
We're going to have a lot of fun tomorrow. So until then, for Stockton Jukes, I'm J.D. Walker. You guys have a great night. We'll see you back here tomorrow at 3:30 for KVNU Aggie Game Day. That's a football edition coming up. Have a great night, everybody. We'll see you then.
This Utah State broadcast has been a presentation of News Talk KVNU and the Cache Valley Media Group, the heritage home for the Aggies.